The scariest Uber ride of my life started with 5 words. "You're not who I ordered." I should have known something was wrong when the car arrived too quickly. It was 2:17 a.m. when I finally clocked out from Benny's diner, my apron streaked with grease and my hair reeking of fry oil. The parking lot was deserted except for my shitty Honda Civic, which wouldn't start naturally. So I pulled up Uber with fingers stiff from washing dishes. 2 minutes away. That was suspiciously fast for downtown Seattle at this hour. When the silver Toyota Camry pulled up exactly 112 seconds later, I counted. I barely glanced at the license plate. The app said, Lewis M. 4.8 stars. And right now, that was good enough for me. I collapsed into the back seat with the grace of a sack of potatoes. "Hey," I mumbled, fumbling with the seatbelt. "Going to 1424 Belmont?" The door locks clicked. Hard. Not the automatic kind. The driver had manually hit the switch. I looked up. The man in the rearview mirror wasn't smiling. Most Uber drivers have this performative friendliness, either overly chatty or painfully polite. This guy just stared. His eyes were so dark they looked pupilless under the streetlights, fixed on me with an intensity that made my stomach drop. "You're not her." The words slithered through the car like a draft from an open grave. I froze mid-yawn. "Excuse me?" His fingers flexed on the wheel. The engine idled too loud, like he was revving it slightly. "I said you're not her." A prickling sensation crawled up my spine. I glanced at the app again. Yes, this was definitely my ride. Then back at his reflection. "Look, if there's some mistake..." No mistake. He turned fully now, and for the first time, I saw the sweat beading on his upper lip despite the AC blasting. The name was Rachel. Blonde hair, red jacket, U... His eyes raked over my diner uniform. "You're nobody." The way he said it, like my existence personally offended him, sent a jolt of pure adrenaline through my veins. My fingers crept toward the door handle. Locked. Child locks too, probably. Think. I forced a laugh, the sound brittle. "Dude, I just want to go home. If you cancel the ride, I'll..." The car lurched forward so fast my head snapped back. Tires screeched as we peeled away from the diner, the speedometer needle jumping to 50 in a residential zone. "Hey! Hey!" I braced myself against the seat as he took a corner so sharp the tires lifted slightly. "What the fuck are you doing?" No answer. Just the rhythmic tap-tap-tap of his thumb against the wheel. I yanked out my phone. No service, of course. Downtown Seattle, and I had no fucking service. The Uber app still showed the trip active, but the map wasn't updating. Just a frozen blue dot moving through blank space. Then I noticed something worse. The driver's phone, mounted on the dash, wasn't running navigation. It was open to a photo. A blonde woman, early 20s. Red jacket, just like he'd said. She was smiling in what looked like a bar, unaware she was being photographed from across the room. My mouth went dry. Tap, tap, tap. His thumb never stopped. We blew through a red light. A horn blared. He didn't flinch. "Luis," I tried, voice shaking. "Whatever you think you're doing..." "That's not my name." Ice flooded my veins. The car smelled suddenly like stale cigarettes and something metallic. I noticed the stains then, dark splotches on the passenger seat headrest that could have been coffee, could have been anything. The speedometer hit 65. We were heading for the industrial district. I did 3 things at once. Slammed my elbow into the window hard enough to crack the glass. Kicked the driver's seat with both feet like a mule. Screamed with every ounce of air in my lungs. The car swerved violently. He cursed in a language I didn't recognize, one hand flying back to grab at me, and that's when I saw it. Wedged between the seats, a second phone, not his, not mine. A pink iPhone with a cracked screen and a Loyola University sticker. The blonde girl from the photo, Rachel's phone. Everything clicked with horrible clarity. I didn't think. I lunged, grabbing the shift lever and yanking it into neutral. The engine screamed. The car fishtailed. His head whipped around, rage twisting his features, and I punched him square in the throat. Not hard enough to crush his windpipe, just enough to make him gag. The second his hands left the wheel, I smashed the door lock button and rolled out of the moving car. The world became a blur of asphalt and pain. I tasted blood. My left arm went numb. But I was up, sprinting toward the glowing Shell station 2 blocks away like the devil himself was at my heels. Behind me, brakes shrieked. I didn't look back. The cops found the Camry abandoned near Pier 86. No Luis. No registration matching the plates. But they did find 3 things. A bloodied utility knife under the driver's seat. 7 phones in the glove box, all wiped clean except one. The pink iPhone, which had a single missed call to 911. A handwritten note tucked in the visor. Rachel, 2:30 a.m. pickup, don't be late again. I moved cities 3 weeks later, changed my number, dyed my hair. But sometimes when I'm stupid enough to take an Uber, I still check the back seat first. And I always make sure the driver says my real name. They tell you to check the back seat. Nobody warns you about the front. The Lexus smelled like a hospital, not the sterile, clean kind. The under the bed sheets, rotting flowers in the gift shop kind of smell that sticks to the back of your throat. I never would have gotten in if the back seat hadn't been worse. Something dark and viscous smeared across the leather that even the harsh streetlights couldn't help me identify. Front seat's fine, the driver said. Isaac. 4.9 stars. Black Lexus RX. I hesitated, my hand on the rear door handle. Uber etiquette says, never sit up front. But the chemical stench wafting through the cracked window made my eyes water. Just for tonight, I muttered, sliding into the passenger seat. First mistake. The interior was too clean, not like someone had detailed it, like someone had scrubbed every surface with industrial-grade cleaner. The floor mats were missing. The glove box was secured with 2 full loops of duct tape, and the air vents. The air vents were clogged with what looked like dryer sheets, 6 of them, jammed into each slat. Long night? Isaac asked as I buckled up. His voice was wrong, too smooth, like he'd practiced the tone in a mirror. When I glanced over, I saw why. His left hand kept flexing rhythmically, the knuckles split and healing. Fresh injuries. Just drive, I said, rolling down my window. The November air was freezing, but better than whatever chemical cocktail was in that car. Isaac smiled and hit the central locks. Not the automatic kind. He manually flipped each switch with deliberate clicks. Driver door, then mine, then the back doors, like he was performing a ritual. Second mistake, not running then. The Lexus pulled away from the curb, and that's when I saw his phone. Not mounted, in his lap. And it wasn't running Uber Driver. The screen showed a custom Maps app with a single pulsing red dot, my apartment building. 3 yellow dots clustered around the downtown area, and 1 green dot, moving along our current route. Me. You should have rated him 5 stars, Isaac said suddenly. I froze. What? November 12th, 2:17 a.m. His fingers tightened on the wheel. 3 stars was unfair. Ice flooded my veins. I'd never taken an Uber that night. I'd been waking up in my bathtub, clothes soaked, head pounding like I'd been drugged. The ER nurse whispering Rohypnol as the police asked questions I couldn't answer. The memory hit like a sucker punch. Isaac's phone buzzed. A notification popped up. Dose 2, ready. Then I saw the blood. Not old stains. Fresh flecks, barely visible against the black gear shift. Still tacky when I accidentally dropped my lipstick and swiped a finger across it. Rough day at work, Isaac said, flexing that injured hand. The split knuckles oozed faintly. I'm a surgeon. Liar. No surgeon would grip a steering wheel like he wanted to snap it in half. No surgeon would have those ragged, uneven cuts, defensive wounds, knife slips. The Lexus merged onto the highway. Wrong direction. Hey, I forced my voice steady. You missed my exit. Isaac accelerated. We need to make a stop first. A thump came from the back seat. Not luggage, not the suspension. Something alive. I chanced to look in the side mirror. The back seat was empty. But the trunk was slightly ajar and moving. Here's what I did next. Because you don't work ER night shifts for 6 years without learning a few tricks. Palmed my keys. Not between the fingers like they teach in self-defense classes. I gripped them like a surgeon holds a scalpel. Thumb on the longest edge. Precision over brute force. Waited for the curve. Highway 90 has that sharp bend just past mile marker 47. Isaac would have to slow down. Struck fast. Not his face, not his ribs. The brachial plexus. That bundle of nerves above the collarbone. One sharp jab with my keys and his right arm went limp. The Lexus swerved violently as Isaac screamed. I didn't stop, slammed his head into the window. Temporal lobe impact causes disorientation. Jammed my keys into the steering column, right where the airbag sensor lives. Braced as the driver's airbag exploded in his face. White powder filled the car. Airbag chemicals, yes, but something else too. Something sweet-smelling that burned my nostrils. Isaac gagged, clawing at his face. I reached for the door locks. Just as the trunk burst open, a woman tumbled out onto the highway, her wrists bound with zip ties, her mouth covered in duct tape. Alicia Cho, missing for 3 weeks. Her fingernails were gone. The last thing I remember is the sound of my own scream as our car plowed into the median, the world flipping in slow motion. What the police found, and what they didn't tell the press. The Lexus wasn't registered to any Uber driver. The plates were cloned from a junked vehicle in Ohio. The dryer sheets in the vents? Fentanyl patches, enough to sedate an elephant. 6 phones hidden in the spare tire well, all logged into the same Uber passenger account, mine. A handwritten logbook documenting dose adjustments for 7 women. Alicia was patient 6. I was patient 7. They never found Isaac. But last month, a detective showed me security footage from a gas station near my new apartment. Time-stamped 3:17 a.m. A black Lexus RX idling at pump 4. The driver's hand, knuckles freshly split, tapping the steering wheel in that same rhythmic pattern. Waiting. The scariest night of my life began with a phone that wasn't mine lighting up in the backseat of an Uber. I almost didn't get in the car. That detail haunts me more than anything else. That split-second hesitation when the silver Honda Accord pulled up to the curb outside the Blue Lagoon bar. Maybe it was the way the streetlight reflected off the windshield, making it impossible to see the driver's face. Maybe it was the silence. No greeting. No, "What's your name?" Just the click of the doors unlocking. But it was 2:17 a.m. I'd missed the last train, and the app said, Gregory, 4.7 stars. So I slid into the back seat, the leather cold through my jeans. The smell hit me first. Not the usual Uber stench of pine air freshener and fast food. This was sharper. Metallic. Like someone had scrubbed the car down with industrial cleaner but missed the traces in the cracks. I gave my address. Gregory didn't respond, just nodded and pulled away from the curb. That's when I saw the phone. It was plugged into the center console, face up. Not Gregory's. His was mounted on the dash running navigation. This was an iPhone with a cracked screen protector, charging silently. Previous passenger must have left it, I thought, reaching for it just as the screen lit up. New message. Don't react. He's watching. I froze. The message disappeared, replaced by the lock screen, a generic beach photo. Then another message flashed. Check the timestamp. The photo app opened itself. A picture loaded. The backseat I was sitting in right now. Empty. Time stamped. Tonight, 1:53 a.m. 20 minutes ago. Another photo appeared beneath it. Same angle, same seat. A girl with choppy black hair and a nose ring stared back at me, her mouth covered with silver duct tape. Her eyes were wide, frantic. The timestamp read 1:59 a.m., 18 minutes before I got in the car. My blood turned to ice. The trunk rattled as we hit a pothole. Not the normal sound of luggage shifting. This was heavier, deliberate, like someone, pushing against the lid from inside. Gregory's eyes locked onto mine in the rearview mirror. Everything okay back there? The phone buzzed. New message. He knows you know. I forced a cough, covering the phone with my hand. Fine. Just allergies. We turned onto the highway. Wrong direction for my apartment. I typed one-handed, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Alicia." He took my phone when I got in. "Thinks it's dead. He has a knife in the glove box, don't let him." The message cut off as Gregory suddenly jerked the wheel, exiting onto a service road. No streetlights, just the glow of the dashboard illuminating his face. The first time I got a proper look at him. Thin lips, pale eyes that didn't quite focus right, and a scratch, fresh, still oozing, running down his neck like someone had fought back. The phone buzzed again. "Warehouse District, next right, last chance." Gregory reached for the glove box. I moved without thinking. The charging cable snapped as I ripped the phone free. My other hand found the door handle, locked, so I smashed the window with the phone's corner. Once, twice. On the third hit, the safety glass webbed. Gregory yelled something as I threw my weight against the cracked window. It burst outward in a shower of fragments just as the glove box popped open. And then came the sound I'll hear in my nightmares forever. A thud from the trunk. A scream, not mine. And the glint of something metallic in Gregory's hand as I tumbled onto the pavement. I ran until my lungs burned. Didn't stop when gravel cut through my shoes. Didn't look back when the Accord's engine roared behind me. Just sprinted toward the distant glow of a gas station, Alicia's phone clutched like a lifeline in my bleeding hand. The police found the Honda abandoned near Pier 36. No Gregory. No Alicia. But here's what they did find, according to the detective who wouldn't meet my eyes. The duct tape in the trunk had strands of black hair stuck to it. The knife in the glove box tested positive for blood. Type AB, not Alicia's type O. 3 more phones hidden under the spare tire, all wiped clean. The last photo on Alicia's phone? Timestamp 2:15 a.m. It showed the back seat again. Empty. Except for my reflection in the window, mouth open mid-scream, as Gregory reached back with that knife. I keep the phone charged now, just in case Alicia ever texts again. 5-star ratings don't mean safety. Sometimes they mean the opposite. I almost canceled the ride when I saw his perfect rating. 5.0 stars, 327 trips, all within the past 2 days. The math didn't add up. Even the most dedicated Uber drivers might complete 30 rides in 48 hours. 327 was impossible, unless he never slept. Unless he never stopped driving. But it was 3 a.m., and the October rain sheeted down in icy waves as I stood outside the hospital, my scrubs soaked through. My shift had ended 4 hours late after a code blue in the ER. All I wanted was to get home. So I got in the car. First red flag. The smell. Not sweat or fast food, rubbing alcohol, the sharp, sterile kind we use to prep skin for incisions. The back seat gleamed spotless under the streetlights, no crumbs, no water stains. Just clean. Second red flag. His hands. "Evening," the driver said as I buckled up. His voice was calm, pleasant, but his fingers on the wheel were all wrong. Too smooth, no calluses. No wedding ring tan line, like they'd never done real work. The app said his name was Dimitri. He looked nothing like his profile photo. "Long shift?" Dimitri asked as we pulled away. His eyes flicked to mine in the rearview mirror. Blue. Unnaturally bright. Contacts, maybe. "Yeah," I said, pulling my hoodie tighter. The AC blasted despite the chill outside. "You do a lot of hospital pickups?" A pause, just a second too long. "All kinds," he said. My phone buzzed. A notification from the Uber app. Safety reminder. Share your trip status with... The message vanished as Dimitri turned down an unlit side street. Wrong direction. "Hey, the map says to stay on Main," I said, my pulse quickening. "Construction," Dimitri said. There was no construction. I opened the Uber app. Dimitri's profile now showed 4.2 stars, 12 trips. The 327 perfect ratings were gone. Then I noticed something worse. The car's interior lights were disabled. The door locks had no buttons. The child's safety locks clicked as we accelerated, and the partition between us wasn't plexiglass. It was steel, like a police cruiser. "Roll down your window," I said, testing. Dimitri smiled. "Broken. Sorry. Liar." I pretended to cough, snapping a photo of his license with my phone. The flash reflected off something under his seat. Metal. A syringe. The math came together with horrible clarity. 327 rides in 48 hours. No time for sleep. Just enough time to... The car swerved onto a dirt road. Trees swallowed the moonlight. I yanked my hospital badge from my pocket, the one with the razor-sharp metal clip we used to pop open medication vials, jammed it into the window's edge and pulled. The rubber seal gave way with a tear. Cold air rushed in. Dimitri's head snapped around. "Don't!" I threw myself at the gap, shoulders screaming as I forced my body through the half-open window. The car swerved, my ribs hit pavement. Then I was rolling, tumbling, the world a blur of pain and rain. Headlights flared behind me. I ran, not toward the road, into the woods, where a car couldn't follow. Branches lashed my face as I crashed through the undergrowth, Dimitri's shouts fading behind me. They found the car abandoned at a rest stop 30 miles away. No Dimitri, no record of his account. But the police did confirm one thing. In the trunk, under the spare tire, were 327 phones, all charged, all wiped clean, all with Uber apps still logged in. The detective wouldn't tell me what they found on the dashcam, but sometimes, when I check my Uber app at night, I still see it. A ghost notification that disappears when I tap it. Dimitri has accepted your ride request. I should have trusted my gut when the driver didn't ask for my name. It was 11:37 p.m. when I finally left the office holiday party. My head throbbed from cheap champagne, and my feet ached in stupid heels that were definitely not made for standing 5 hours. All I wanted was to get home, peel off this dress, and pass out. The Uber app showed a 4-minute wait. Black Lexus ES, driver named Daniel, 4.9 stars. Perfect. When the car pulled up, something felt off. First, the license plate didn't quite match the app. One digit was different, a 6 instead of an 8. But the app said, "Your ride is here," with a cheerful ping, so I shrugged it off. Maybe I misread it. Second, Daniel didn't roll down his window to confirm my name like drivers usually do. He just unlocked the doors silently. I slid into the back seat, immediately noticing how cold it was. The AC blasted at full power despite it being 45 degrees outside. "Going to 328 Crestview Apartments," I said, buckling up. No response. Daniel was older than his profile picture, maybe late 50s with salt and pepper hair and thick glasses that reflected the city lights. He didn't speak, just nodded and pulled away from the curb. I pulled out my phone to text my roommate that I was on my way. That's when I noticed the first red flag. The Uber app showed no active trip. Not delayed. Not glitching. Just gone. Like I'd never ordered a ride at all. Hey? I leaned forward. The app just canceled my trip for some reason. "Tunnel ahead," Daniel interrupted. His voice was oddly flat. "You'll lose service." Before I could respond, the car plunged into the Harbor Street underpass, a quarter-mile tunnel that cut beneath the river. My phone instantly showed no service. The tunnel lights flickered overhead, casting strobe-like shadows across Daniel's face in the rear view. His eyes kept darting to me, then away. That's when I noticed the second red flag. We weren't moving. Not that we were stopped. The speedometer showed 35 miles per hour. But outside the windows, the tunnel walls didn't change. The same cracked tile, the same graffiti tag, "Killjoy Forever," kept passing by, over and over, like we were driving in place. My breath came faster. "Daniel, what the hell?" "Almost there," he murmured. The car suddenly swerved right, taking an exit I'd never noticed before, an unmarked ramp curling upward into darkness. My stomach dropped as we emerged onto a deserted access road overlooking the river. No streetlights, no other cars, just an abandoned warehouse with broken windows. This isn't my route. My voice shook. Daniel didn't answer. He just parked facing the river and turned off the engine. The silence was deafening. I grabbed the door handle, locked. Window buttons, dead. "Daniel," I said carefully, "let me out right now." He finally turned to look at me. His glasses caught the moonlight, turning his eyes into black pits. "You shouldn't have gotten in a car without confirming the driver's name." Then he reached under his seat. I didn't wait to see what he grabbed. In one motion, I slammed my champagne bottle, stolen from the party, against the window. It shattered. Shoved the jagged neck toward his face. He recoiled, lunged across the seats to hit the master unlock button. The doors popped open with a thunk. I tumbled out onto gravel, shredding my palms, but I was up and running before Daniel could react. My heels snapped off immediately, but I didn't stop. Behind me, the car door slammed. Footsteps pounded after me. I veered toward the riverbank, where moonlight glinted off the water. If I could reach the docks, maybe. A hand grabbed my hair. I screamed and elbowed backward, connected with something soft. Daniel grunted, grip loosening just enough for me to twist free. Then I ran like hell. I didn't stop until I reached a gas station a mile away, where a trucker took one look at my bleeding feet and called 911. The cops found the Lexus abandoned by the warehouse. No Daniel. No record of any Uber driver by that name in the city. And the tunnel exit we took? It didn't exist on any map. It was supposed to be a 10-minute ride, that's it. I'd taken Ubers 100 times before. Late nights after work, early mornings to the airport, even drunk rides home from bars where I barely remembered getting in the car. But this one? This one was different. The app said my driver was 2 minutes away. Marco, 4.7 stars, black Hyundai Sonata. When he pulled up, the car looked clean, almost too clean. No fast food wrappers, no lingering scent of air freshener. Just sterile. Like it had been wiped down recently. I slid into the back seat, gave him a polite nod, and buckled up. He didn't say a word. No, "How's your night?" No fake small talk. Just silence. At first, I didn't think much of it. Some drivers were quiet, and after a 12-hour shift at the hospital, I was fine with that. I pulled out my phone, scrolling mindlessly, watching the city lights blur past. Then he missed the turn. Not just a slight overshoot. He blew right past the exit that would have taken me straight home. "Hey," I said, leaning forward. "You were supposed to take that left back there." He didn't even glance at me. "Construction," he muttered. "This way's faster." I frowned. I'd driven this route for years. There was no construction. I opened Google Maps on my phone, watching the little blue dot veer off course. We weren't heading toward my neighborhood anymore. We were moving into the industrial district. Warehouses, empty lots, streets with no cameras. Marco?" I kept my voice light, but my fingers were already tightening around my phone. "Where exactly are we going?" He didn't answer. That's when I noticed two things. The child locks were on. I pressed the window button. Nothing. Tugged the door handle. Locked. The smell. Faint at first, but now unmistakable. Bleach. And something else underneath it. Metallic. My stomach dropped. I forced myself to stay calm. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe he was just a bad driver. Maybe. Then I saw the odometer. It wasn't moving. The car was going 45 miles per hour, but the mileage stayed frozen at 87,562. That's not possible, unless it had been disconnected, unless someone didn't want this trip tracked. I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering in my throat. Options. I could scream, I could fight. But we were alone on a dark road, no other cars in sight. Then I remembered. My phone. I opened the Uber app and hit emergency assistance. A message popped up. Sharing trip details with authorities. Marco's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. He knew. The car lurched as he slammed the gas, swerving onto a side street. My phone slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. I lunged for it, but he hit the brakes hard, sending me crashing into the seat in front of me. "Sit back," he growled. Number. Hell no. I yanked my keys from my pocket. the jagged edges of my car key between my knuckles, and swung at his face. He jerked back, swearing, and the car fishtailed. That split second was all I needed. I grabbed the shift lever and jammed it into neutral. The engine screamed, the car bucked, and Marco lost control for just a second, just long enough for me to slam my elbow into the door lock. Click. I threw myself out of the car, hitting the pavement hard, skin tearing on asphalt. I didn't stop. I ran, sprinting toward the distant glow of a gas station, my breath ragged in my chest. Behind me, tires screeched. But he didn't follow. The cops found the car abandoned an hour later. No Marco, no registration matching the plates, no record of the Uber account ever existing. And the trunk? Empty. Except for a single freshly wiped down tarp.